Hey, great. Thank you, Eric, and welcome everyone to Medicine Buddha Practice. Welcome to those of you who are new to this gathering. It's so wonderful to have you. And of course, welcome back to those of you who have been joining us. And as we begin, yes, as Eric pointed out, please go ahead and put your prayer requests, if you have one, into the dock. So we can just kind of take care of that as we move into practice. Um, Secondly, please feel free to check in the chat as well. How are you doing? How's your heart? Um, how's your body? How are your ancestors? You know, how's your mama and them? So like whomever, you know. Grief and heaviness. Thank you. Yeah. So this is definitely the season of grief. This is a water season. We move into winter. Of course, winter, for those of us who took the Five Buddha Families course, this is the season of Vajra. So there's a kind of clarity that's awakening. That clarity takes us right back to the point, right? Or to the real material that we need to be tending to. And that often is the heartbreak, the grief, the brokenheartedness. So it's like, and with Vajra energy, everything just clears away. Again, Vajra energy is like a very clear, crisp winter day, right? No leaves on the trees, like barren, and you can just see for miles into the distance. And this is what the winter is, right? And this is why we do the practice of wintering, right? And wintering, of course, is what Sister Shifra and I will be um, talking about, conversating around next Monday. So I hope you can join us, right? So yeah, so the grief is up, grief. And of course, when we talk about grief, we're also talking about the element of water, So are you hydrated is the next question. Right. Are you drinking water? And what kind of water are you drinking? Too, right? And I wonder if this would be helpful. I wonder if we can find some living water to drink, right? It's just not filtered water out of the tap, right? Which is fine, right? But like water that comes directly from the earth, from springs, from brooks. Um, Mineral dense waters that offer life and nutrition and sustenance, right? So we're trying to do more than just hydrate. We're trying to do more than just keep the body hydrated. We're also trying to take in all the minerals and nutrients from water that water can offer us, right? And as you drink water, just another helpful piece of advice, I encourage you to pray over your water, you know? Well, actually, you should pray over anything that you put into your body. But just like saying a prayer over water lifts the frequency of the water itself, right? You want high frequency, high vibrational material going into your body. The easiest way to do that, well, two easy ways to do that is first to take in very nutritious, healthy things that are in line with the sustainability of your body. And secondly, just to offer prayer over whatever you take in, right? So good water is really important in this season. Being with water is important, right? If you can get to some kind of water, like be it a swimming pool, hot tub, sauna, a lake or something, whatever, I know it's cold, but like just you don't have to get into the water. It's important to be close to natural water right now is really helpful to work with so much grief. But what else is coming up for everyone? Um, Let's see. Ancestors are happy. Great. Um, New beginnings and a grieving to focus, trying to focus on community building, creating strong mindful resistance, right? Shedding through forgiveness, feeling the Vajra energy you're describing. Yes, cutting through is the Vajra energy. Um, I see some ancestors creating a little bit of ruckus. I love that. Someone's been experiencing harassment and is struggling hard with it. Well, let's offer this into the practice and see what kind of data we get, right? I want to, I always forget to do this, but I want to get back to offering just protection circles at the end of practice. We did it a few times last year, but I keep bypassing it because, at the end of the practice, I'm like, fuck it, I'm ready to go put my creams on and go watch Golden Girls. But, I try to stay in there, because I know you have expectations and all this, you know, but I want to have a break too. Um, Yeah, grieving, shedding old habits, heart's been hurting, called in protection, receive the silver lights. I think from Tara. We're gonna say yes. That's from Tara. Yeah. Um, ooh, a lot of good positive updates about the ancestors. You know what? If you really show up for your ancestors, the ancestors show up for you, right? So you're having positive experiences with ancestors because you're tending to the ancestors. You're thinking about them, you're offering, you're not trying to avoid them. So when you pay attention, there's an excitement because, oh, great, now, you're paying attention and real work can happen. Often the first work is ancestral cleansing. So, so you're moving a lot through, and water is a big part of that. So whenever you're tending to the ancestors, make sure you have some good water. Well, good water, I mean, it can be out of the tap. They're not that picky. Um, Having water, offering water to your ancestral space or shrine is really great. Water as cleansing, water as a deep, water is like a portal essentially for ancestors to move in and out of in order to support us, right? So that's the big reason for water. So make sure if in your ancestral practice there's lots of water. Wild water, feeling heavy. It is a lot to feel heavy. I think we have this cultural, particularly I would say in Western countries, particularly for those of us who are stuck to the Gregorian calendar. We think once the clock, changes over to like January 1st, it's like a reset. When in fact, it's just the same bullshit. It's just a different day, right? I know we want like a start over. We have our New Year's resolutions. We have all of this going, right? But at the same time, it's what are you going to do differently that you haven't been doing before, right? You have to address that central issue, like what's actually in the way of me really fulfilling some of these aspirations that I have for myself, right? Um, of course, prayer, aspiration, practice, all of that supports these aspirations, but also the other part that supports the practice is the actual labor doing, and this is again, as we are in this season, it's going to feel very isolating. Vajra energy can feel very isolating, right? It can feel very personal. Um, and that's on purpose because again, we get this incredible space to become aware, to bring awareness to our experiences right now. And to have awareness of our experiences, of course, that is in relationship to the collective experience, which for the most part is very heavy, right? And this is why we come into practice like this for Medicine Buddha, because we need this practice to help us kind of keep this energy moving. Because in Vajra, Season, yes. What's the other elements? Well, water, but what does water turn into? Ice, right? So in Vajra seasons, things can freeze, get stuck, right? And we need practice to keep the waters moving, to keep things flowing, right? Or else you'll freeze. So this is also what we're trying to do in our practice. There's a feeling of feeling sad and sleepy. Um, Ancestors have done none of their work, it seems, so I'm dragging their shit along to heal it. Yeah. It's interesting. It's the ancestors can only do so much, right? Because we have to meet the ancestors. So sometimes it's like when we don't feel the activity of the ancestors, it's actually maybe something on our end that we're not doing. And this is just personal experience, right? I will say ancestor work needs fuel, and we're that fuel, right? And that fuel can be offered in many different ways through actual physical offerings of food, water, and so forth, through actual devotion, right? Maintaining physical altar space in our homes that becomes a portal for the ancestors to reach through to interact with us. Um, but as spirits, right, as a disembodied being in the spirit world, there's only so much we can do as spirits. And therefore, ancestor practice is really about us opening to the labor of processing a lot, So it's maybe not that the ancestors aren't doing enough. It's maybe that they're not they're only doing what they can do, and the rest is up to us, you know. And sometimes you may think, oh, that doesn't seem fair, but when you look at it from another angle, the ancestors are providing a lot of care and support. Many of us are only alive because of the intervention of ancestors. And of course, many other spirits and beings as well, the Buddhas, angels, and there's all kinds of beings protecting us. But the ancestors are really close to us and they do a lot of work, right? Um, I just offer some helpful suggestions there. But if things are feeling stuck, offer water. I would not just offer it on an altar, but to actually go outside. I do this all the time. Go outside, I take water. And if something feels stuck, I offer water to the land. And I pray for whatever that feels stuck that it moves. Right? Because again, water is also the universal um, solvent. It dissolves and moves, right? And we can rely on water to do that, right? So it's figuring out your rituals here, is really great. But a little bit of water, I think, can be really helpful. Hot springs, I love that. Natural hot springs are powerful medicine. Yeah. And Dom, yeah, your ancestors asked for a yellow candle and a glass of red wine. It sounds wonderful, right? And listen, too, when you're doing ancestral work, you're listening to the cravings. Like, what do the ancestors want, right? Um, mm, Still a lot of grieving, feeling depressed, anxious about the world, overwhelmed with everything going on. Grateful for partner and cats. Right. And this is also another really important thing. Who are you relying on? What are you relying on right now? Right? Who who is your community? Who are your beloveds? You know, um, where do you seek refuge? Who do you seek refuge in? Right? We can't do any of this alone, even though lots of the work is our labor, but we are doing this together. So we support one another in doing this labor. So feeling weary, working in the ocean, the land, working with the ocean, the land, the wind, the trees, Remembering the mothers and the grandmothers finding solace in temperance. And I'm just gonna a few more before I kind of move us into practice. A lot of shame, regret, grief, practicing with it, feeling depressed, but also opening to saying yes to the depression, letting it teach me. It's really beautiful. Taking step after step to open up to a new affirming and accessible primary care space in my community. Wonderful. Taking risks, doing something different. Absolutely. This is all really, really wonderful. And I hope, for those of us who are really kind of struggling right now, just to read through some of this too, and just to feel inspired that you're not the only one. I'm really just trying to get through this moment, right? Um, and so as we always do, we come into our practice and we bring all of this into our practice, the heartbreak, but also we bring the gratitude, right? And what are you grateful for right now? The gratitude is like a light that begins to awaken in the darkness of grief and anxiety and just overwhelm, right? So every day I wake up with gratitude. What am I grateful for? Who am I grateful for? Right? And my first practice each morning, like my first formal practice, is ancestor practice, right? Greeting the ancestors, and particularly greeting the grandfathers, my male ancestors who I'm working really closely with these days, right? Greeting the ancestors. That greeting is often an expression of gratitude, right? I offer gratitude first. Thank you, right? In the Lojong practices, the mind training slogans that I've taught a couple of times, or once, we taught once a couple of years ago formally, one of the slogans is be grateful for everything. I think that's the most intense of the slogans, be grateful for everything. Right? And I wake up, do my ancestor practice, right? And the ancestors, particularly grandfathers, help me to understand the gratitude itself, to be grateful for what I'm being offered, but to be grateful for what I am being taught, right? To be grateful for being alive right now, which is hard for some of us, I think. This is difficult, to say the least, right? But to be grateful to be here, I'm grateful to be here because I'm helping. I don't feel like I'm just creating more chaos. Now, some of you may disagree, some of you definitely feel like I'll say or do something and your life is just fucked up for a while. I get that. That's part of the practice, actually. We have to be dysregulated in order to like kind of like shake loose some of the rigidity, the hegemony in our practice in our lives, right? That's disorienting. Absolutely. That's the risk of this, right? That's the great risk of Tantra or Vajrayana Buddhism is that it's going to take you there just like our opening song, I'll take you there, right? That's Vajrayana. Vajrayana is going to take you there, right? Ready or not, right? But I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I was thinking about this actually specifically earlier today, that how grateful I am to be practicing with deities, with Buddhas like Medicine Buddha. And I'm grateful that I don't teach or practice anything that I do not feel is extremely important. So we do Medicine Buddha as the longest running program that's survived different incarnations of Lama Rod and community, but we keep holding on. I we keep doing this because it's important. If I didn't think this was important, we would be doing something different, or I would have Monday evenings off, you know. Um, but this is important, right? I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful to be rooted in practices, lineages, traditions that get shit done, right? Not just trying to promote this kind of superficial experience of happiness or contentment or comforts, but to actually get us free from the duality of comfort and discomfort, of pain and pleasure and so forth. Right? This is about transcending the duality to remember our natural state of being, which is we would call our Buddha nature, our awakened nature, the nature of phenomena, being emptiness, space, energy, right? That medicine Buddha takes us there. All the Buddhas takes us there, right? But the Buddhas take us in back to this state, this space of being, right? And to do that, we have to learn and practice how to love everything. Because for me, gratitude and love really are very closely related. Not quite the same thing, but very closely related, right? So when I am grateful for something, then I find myself loving that thing, right? So to be grateful for everything, right, it means that we're actually developing, cultivating this awakened heart, this awakened care for everything. You don't have to like shit, right? So I want you to write that down and put that up somewhere, you know, on your refrigerator, on your phone, like because you'll get stuck. Because you'll be like, oh, I don't like this, right? And you have to say, no, it's not about liking, it's about loving. To love is to set something free. Is to set something free from our misunderstanding of it. To let something be, right? And quite frankly, I cannot get free looking at this kind of falling over. Like I just like I will never be liberated until everything is in order. Anywho, I know it looks a mess, but like I don't really care what you think. It's about what I think. Like you're probably thinking, well, you should organize some more, right? Because this looks a mess. It looks fine to me. It was just that, because the lights are falling down, but it doesn't matter. Right? Like does this is this landing, right, as we go into our practice, right? The gratitude, the love for everything, right? Even now, right? To be grateful for everything. It's to be grateful for invasions, genocides, right? Like how do you do that? Like and the gratitude, right? The gratitude comes from what we're being taught. Particularly, my gratitude comes from how I am really aware that I am not about this violence. And some of us are surrounded by people who are about this, right? So my gratitude is like, I kind of get it. I kind of get that we shouldn't be doing this, right? Right? I kind of get that we should be about harmony, disruption, abolition. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for what I am being shown about myself as all of this is happening, right? And I'm grateful for the grief and the anger, the heartbreak and the anger that comes from this because it means that I'm feeling something. I'm not bypassing it. So many of us are like really struggling. You're struggling because you're feeling it. You're feeling it because you're human. That's the point of embodiment is to be human, right? Because we're like what spiritual beings having a human experience on purpose. right? I'm not here to have a spiritual experience, right? Well, I'm not here to have a spiritual, well, I'm not, my understanding of spirituality, of course, is very, very expansive now. I think being human is very spiritual, right? So I am having a spiritual experience, even though I am moving through my own pain, my own trauma, my own suffering, right? But I'm doing more than that, right? It's not that I'm just feeling this. I am also understanding that everyone else, every other being is feeling this, including the ancestors, right? That this experience of discomfort is a shared experience in this realm. And for me to notice that and to name my experience while also acknowledging that this is a shared experience, right, is when being human becomes liberatory, right? It's me, it's you, it's us having this experience. And this experience is bullshit. Therefore, I vow to disrupt it. Right? I vow to heal. I vow to get free for myself, for others, to help others get free as I'm helping myself. But not only just helping myself, but allowing myself to be helped. Right? I am opening to the care of community as I am also doing what I can to offer care to others. And I know some of us, I always think I'm going to start practice. Um, and I know some of us in this space have been really struggling to feel motivated, right? To be here, um, to maintain this life. And this is another thing I was thinking about, today is that what has helped me is to really train in living for others, right? I'm not just here for myself, I'm here for you, right? That keeps me going because there's not a lot of Lama Rods around. Quite frankly, there's only one, and I broke the fucking mold with this one. So it's not like there's gonna be another one coming about, you know. But like to start living for others, which does not mean that we bypass ourselves, right? So what I do to care for myself and what I do to open to the care that I need is what helps me to offer care to you. Right? And I still know it's hard, right? Yeah, it's still hard, it's still tough, but compassion is what can really offer us a lot of motivation. As I often say, when in doubt, fall back on compassion. When you don't know the answer, compassion is the answer, right? So you shouldn't leave any blanks on the test of life, right? Like if you don't know the answer, just put in compassion, right? Or just do compassion, right? Because it will always lead us to where we need to be and what needs to happen, right? So to live for others, right? But let's go back, all the way back to gratitude. What are you grateful for, right? And I want each of us to kind of reflect on something that we're grateful for. And we're going to use this as a spark to call in a medicine Buddha, to call in the practice. So again, what are you grateful for? Just finding one thing that we're grateful for and just holding that thought or the experience of that gratitude, and particularly holding it in the heart center, feeling that gratitude awakening, lighting up in the heart center. We can even imagine that the gratitude maybe takes the form of a flame, the candle flame in the heart center. And we can imagine that that gratitude begins to illuminate, to radiate through the body, right? That gratitude as a flame begins to grow, and that gratitude begins to illuminate throughout your body. And as that illumination is growing, find the seats, just noticing the weight of your body and the seat rising to hold you. And of course, holding all of us is the land, the earth as the mother. And symbolically, even though I never teach this, but it could be helpful. But even now, to acknowledge the land, you can just reach down and touch the floor. Just tap the floor. Or, if you're sitting, feeling your feet on the floor, that's also really good as well. But just like feeling the floor is an expression, a really tangible expression of the land. But also, as we often practice, when we think about the land, we are also touching the land, touching the earth, recognizing the mother. And when you're ready, connecting to your breath now, just feeling and noticing the in breath and the out breath, inhaling into the nose, out of the mouth. And even though as we're breathing, we're relying on the air element, we can also imagine that we're also calling in the water element, the flow of the breath. It's like the flow of water in and out, into the body, out of the body, right? And as we are exhaling, releasing the breath, imagine that we're releasing the heaviness, the rigidity, the tightness. And if you're working with a lot of grief right now, of course, grief rides the breath, right? Lots of energy rides the breath, but definitely grief rides the breath because grief tends to really accumulate in the respiratory system, in the lungs, right? So sometimes when we feel the heaviness in the breath, it's another way that we're noticing the grief, the brokenheartedness. This grief, this brokenheartedness is also collective. So it's not just ours, it's many other beings, but primarily it is the grief of our ancestors that we're also holding in our lungs. So releasing that, right? Calling on air and water to flow things, to move things out, to get things unstuck. And we can even just do like a little bit of chest rubbing. If you bring your hand up to like your heart center, right? And just kind of rubbing the heart center, just the moving, awakening this energy, feeling the tension, the friction of your hand on your chest, that heat, the warmth that's awakening, that warmth, of course, being the fire element, is also beginning to dissolve, to move, to loosen things up. And then we flow it out with the out breath. Right? And still beneath all of this is the first spark, the first flame of gratitude. And of course, as we've touched the earth, we also acknowledge the sky, the space above us, right? So as below, so above, and vice versa, so above, as below, and so forth. You know what the saying is. But to acknowledge the sky is to acknowledge the sacred Father, right? And this is a part of our sacred duality, right? If there's one, that has to be the other. Right? As there is the mother, there is the father opens, expands, protects, watches. Right? To acknowledge the sky, the expansiveness of the sky is to acknowledge also spaciousness, openness, the clearing of obstacles, the opening of paths and doorways. So as the earth holds, the sky opens. And we turn our attention to our opening mantra, Om Mena Sangekino Soha, as we often do, starting with Om, chanting Om, then chanting the mantra 3 times, and ending with Om. And as we chant, also, I invite you just to really settle into the heart center, feeling the vibration of the chants and the heart center, the awakening. Om is the beginning, right? The opening. And feeling the and the opening in the heart center, expanding, moving, awakening. Right? And so we begin, and you can chant along or you can just listen. Either way is up to you, but we'll begin. We begin by inhaling. la sange hi no so la sange hi no so and with the offering of this opening mantra, we can begin to feel the presence, the consciousness of Medicine Buddha taking shape, awakening in our heart centers. So that flame of gratitude actually begins to evolve into this feeling or expression of Medicine Buddha. Just letting that experience take whatever shape, whatever form that's appropriate and conducive for your practice right now. And this can be an extremely subtle experience, right? Or it can be a really intense experience and everything in between. Just noticing. There's no wrong way of practicing and experiencing this. So, whatever experience you're having right now is the experience that you're supposed to have, even if you may not notice any experience. But trust that something is happening. And in deity practice, particularly at the beginning of deity practice, and being new to deity practice, this is kind of the gap that we have to bridge, right? And that bridge is a kind of faith or trust that even though we don't feel anything, that there is something happening. So just abide in this faith, or maybe just trust. Maybe faith is too heavy, but let's call it trust. That Medicine Buddha has awakened. And as Medicine Buddha awakens, this illumination intensifies. We feel our bodies filling with this light even more intensely. And everything that we have been wrestling with, struggling with, the anxiety, the heartbreak, the anger, the fear, whatever it may be, we offer these experiences into this light. And this light experience is also the expression of the fire element, the light. And so as we offer these things into the light, this light of our minds, the light of our bodies, these things also begin to transform into light. The anxiety turns into light. The heartbreak turns into light. The fear turns into light. It's lit up. That everything in our imagination, everything in our minds begins to illuminate. And this kind of practice, this what we're visualizing is actually about lifting vibrations, right? Kind of lifting us out of the heaviness, right? Which is what the fire element does. It lifts, it transforms, right? It transmutes. So as we're lifting in this light, that is simply an expression of Medicine Buddha, but as we know, Medicine Buddha is simply an expression of our own minds. Right? To feel this lifting and allowing this lifting to take us into our main mantra, Teata Bekenze, Bekenze, Maha Bekenze, Rasa Sumogate Soha. Like this, I pray for the end of pain and suffering, as well as the root of pain and suffering, and I release the energy of this prayer out to all beings, so that we all may be liberated. Right? So as we're lifting, we're praying that the suffering of all beings is also lifted. Right? And again, you can sit and listen, you can chant along, it's really up to you, right? But just to hold this practice, hold the light is really important, okay? So we begin. O Tea Taum Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Rasa Sumungate Soha Team Taum Begenze Begenze Ma Begenze Rasa Sumungate Soha Team Taum Begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumo gare zoha. Te andaum begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumo gare zoha. Te andaum begenze, begenze, ma begenze. Begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungare zoha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungare zoha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungare zoha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungare zoha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, rasa sumungare zoha. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, 대한다온 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라스 수문가게소하 대한다온 백은세 백은세 마백은세 라스 수문가테소하 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 sumungare soha. Deyana umbegenze begenze ma begenze raza sumungare soha. Deyana umbegenze begenze ma begenze raza sumungare soha. Deyana umbegenze begenze ma begenze raza sumungate 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 soha. And just turning our attention to our prayer requests. And as usual, we call into the space once again. All the deities and Buddhas have already been called, they've been drawn through our practice, but we call them again and again, calling the attention of all the Buddhas, Bodhisattvas, Yadams, Dharma protectors, to all beings of light, to all benevolent beings in the universe who want us to be free, who are working for us to be free. We call to you and we offer these sacred prayers to you on behalf of this collective. Please bring about the causes and conditions to fulfill these prayers, and please bless us also with the capacity to fulfill these prayers for ourselves and others as well. So we're offering prayers for any being experiencing isolation, heartbreak, and aloneness, that they may know that they are deeply cared for and protected by their benefactors. We're offering prayers for JNA, prayers for my mom Nancy to have the fortitude to heal completely from a broken femur, prayers for Bo for protection and care, offering prayers for Doug for all he needs to get free, prayers for Jana for strength, wisdom, protection, and clarity, prayers for the cows and squirrels and sparrows, prayers for safe, fortifying, and joy-filled travel, prayers for continued healing, reduced physical pain and discomfort, and support, and allowing them sources, providing care and financial support, prayers for my mom and mine, may she live with ease and take care to her caregiver, and may she experience the same love that she is extending to my mother. Prayers of gratitude to all of my spirit guides, all the nature beings, all the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and most especially Medicine Buddha. Thank you for your care, support, guidance, and protection. Thank you, too, for protecting Ocean and Dahlia. The prayers that I have the confidence, courage, and strength to let go of my draining job for something more nourishing. Prayers for the strength and well-being of all as the apocalypse continues. Prayers that I can find a groove with my job for better health and freer life. Prayers for all those holding space, sacred space during this chaos. Of all my colleagues, patients, and their families, particularly DB and JH, for peace and liberation for all peoples and an end to empire, to find stability through mental illness, for striking tenants, for good health, financial stability, and creative flourishing for my beloved wife. Offering prayers for Marcy Roth of Portland, Oregon, going through chemo and radiation for throat cancer, and all others recovering or facing such things. Prayers for the Kalash Eco Village to find ways to support our group garden workers without adequate incomes for rent. May I find work. Prayers for my friend MB. May she heal from the turmoil in her home. Prayers for and gratitude to my doctor, Dr. A. Prayers for A and Z for continued growth and expansion. Prayers for Amy and her deep grief. Prayers for Edith, who is recovering from a hard fall. Prayers for Tia A. Lump for the lump in her arm. Prayers for Tia M. Heart complications. Prayers for me to be open to love, to be held, to be bold, and to find my work in my community. Prayers for my mama, sister, her wife, and 3 children navigating healing childhood trauma. Prayers for my dog, Canelo, his injured right rear leg. Prayers for our peace and resolve within our family struggling with infighting regarding intergenerational responsibilities and inheritances. Prayers for M and R, may they experience healing, abundance, and freedom. Prayers for all of us in every realm and timeline to get free ASAP. Prayers for me to go slow and steady in the work, and prayers for N, R, and C. Prayers for AA for improved health and mobility. Prayers for JP for improved health and support. For SG for more support and connection. For myself as I grieve and work on breaking habits that allow for more spaciousness and liberation. Offering prayers for Melissa, Judith, Joy, and Kathy. Offering prayers for peace and long life to Juniper on our healing journey. Prayers for Venezuelans and for America to heal its imperialism and violence against itself and others. And for the people of Greenland, and which may be the next target. Prayers for the brokenhearted. May we have courage, breath, and patience to believe in the love and the goodness that is yet to come. For the people of Palestine, Sudan, Congo, Ukraine, and anyone denied equity, dignity, and safety. Prayers for my wife and her incredible spirit, my children, for the willingness to help me play and laugh when I am not present, my strength and steadfastness and infinite abundance. Prayers that I am fine-tuned with patience, clarity, courage, and grace to see the truth and act in accordance with liberation and love. Prayers for my uncle Bubba as his dementia advances. May his heart soften and remember his true nature. Prayers for Noba as she approaches the bardo. Prayers for C and M's baby to continue growing to be healthy and strong. Prayers for radical imagination. Prayers for R as she deals with legal issues and sets intentions for the year. Prayers of gratitude for the health and abundance of my sisters Elsie and myself. Prayers of healing for JP as he continues bodily healing. May my energy be cleansed so I have the necessary resilience for what's next. Prayers for the 2 that have left the physical world in this past month, and may their residual complications pass through this world, and may the hearts that they were left injured by their mistakes be healed. Prayers for generosity-fueled hearts and bodhicitta as the guiding force for 2026. Prayers for E as she embarks on another course of chemo. May she be healthy and well. Offering prayers for my health as I face another chronic pain flare and multiple disabilities. Prayers for all of our healing, expansion, and shedding during this time of great transition. Prayers and metta for baby Zakia. Prayers for C and the baby in her womb. May they be healthy and strong. Prayers for G and his knee. Prayers for M. May he find his way to healing. Prayers that I get a meaningful job that aligns with the Dharma as soon as possible. Prayers of protection for the monks walking for peace and precious Aloka, Ashe, Medicine Buddha, please grant our teachers, Lama Rod, Rachel Wood, and Eli, and all others long life, auspicious conditions, and all they need to continue sharing the Dharma. Medicine Buddha, please protect, guide, heal, and nourish everyone in our Sangha and our loved ones. Prayers for all lineage, ancestors, and all the ancestors who strove to get us more free. Prayers for myself, for Johanna to be held, protected, and cared for in this heaviness, to be supported to sit with heaviness, to allow it with spaciousness and love, and when it feels ready, transform it. Prayers for resolution to strained family relations. Prayers for all the ongoing conflicts in the world, and that they may reach peaceful resolution. Prayers for patience with the unknown. Prayers for some peace and ease for our nervous systems. Prayers of healing for the victims and survivors of the Crans-Montana bar fire, Ashe. Prayers of protection for Michael. May the anger directed at him find resolution, and may our community find healing. Prayers for those suffering under tyranny. Prayers for financial security and finding a new home in this new chapter that's even better than I could have ever imagined. May I continue to be supported by the earth. Prayers for Asiya, who has been born with a heart defect. Please keep her free from pain and grant her good, healthy, long life. Prayers for Suzanne, who is recovering from a heart attack. Prayers for Becca and Andrew, their health and longevity. Prayers for Dick, who is moving through lung cancer. Prayers for all of us who have the flu, COVID, norovirus, and other seasonal bugs. Prayers for Grace, that she trusts her inner wisdom to guide her through difficult inner exploration this week. Prayers for the health of the land I live with. Prayers for the courage to let my experience of depression teach me and to trust the support and love of the ancestors. Prayers for Janice Siller, who entered the bardo the weekend after Christmas, and for her husband, Mahan. They are both 91 amazing people. Continued prayers for Ricky Joyner and his journey with brain cancer, and also his wife. Prayers for Sid Comer, brother of my friend Lily, who died Saturday. Prayers for healing from neuropathy and to tolerate and be kind to myself around the anxiety that comes with that from time to time. Prayers to recognize all the help I've given and then pass it along to others. Prayers for my cat Bodhi, who seems to be losing weight, and for Sita, who is diagnosed with glaucoma. Prayers for M's parents and grandmother and Caracas, and they be protected and have their basic needs met. Prayers for M as far away, who is far away from her loved ones on this steep time of challenge in the unknown. Light and prayers for those who begin a new job or new educational experience, that they feel secure in how they think and are, for them to know the love is clarity and power. Prayer for my own health on all levels. Prayer for me to find a spiritual path that is my employment as well. For Bino, that he find the creatives who also are reliable and willing to help. Prayers, may I keep my peace during this upcoming overwhelming week and central love. May I center and focus on my work. Prayers for Jim and his family as he deals with Oscar's cancer diagnosis. May Oscar find release from his suffering, and may his suffering lead to Jim's awakening. We continue to pray and to uplift all the unspoken prayers. We continue to pray for the complete abolition of all systems of harm and violence, that all wars, genocides, invasions, imperialism, colonialism, everything comes to an end, and that we are freed to remember who and what we are. May we all be freed from this cycle of suffering as quickly as possible with the help of all of our benefactors. May this be so. And we offer all of these prayers to our benefactors, and we pray that you help to fulfill all of these prayers as quickly as possible. And just for the next few minutes, as we turn our attention back to our mantra and back into our practice, we also can begin to imagine that this illumination from our bodies also is energy that begins to fuel also these prayer requests as well. And also we can imagine that the illumination from our bodies, from our minds, also begins to illuminate so much of the darkness or the suffering that we are all holding space for. May the blessings of Medicine Buddha and all of the awakened ones help us to bring light deep into the heart of the suffering. And may it be so. So turning our attention back to the mantra, Teata Begenze, Maha Begenze, Rasa Sumungate, Soha. O Eanda Begenze, Maha Begenze, Rasa Sumungate, Soha. Teanda Begenze, Ma Begenze, Rasa Sumungate, Soha. Teanda Begenze, Ma Begenze, Rasa Sumungate, Soha. Teanda Begenze, Ma Begenze. sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. Te anda begenze, begenze, ma begenze, raza sumungates oa. And so returning your attention to your heart center where this experience of medicine Buddha, gratitude, light has been awakening. And we imagine that whatever our experience of medicine Buddha has been, that medicine Buddha dissolves into this illumination, this light. And we imagine that our minds are filled with this light as well, that everything is just this illumination, this brilliance. And just for a couple of moments, resting in this brilliance, of course, this brilliance being the natural energy of our minds. And so when you're ready, shifting your attention back to the seats, to the weight of your bodies, and the seat rising to hold you. Feeling the earth under us, the seat holding us. And when you've arrived back to your bodies, to the seat, just beginning to reawaken your bodies through simple, slow movement. Right. Then we turn our attention to Shanti Deva's prayer. We'll close out the session. We'll recite this 3 times. May I be a protector to those without protection, and a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. May I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine. And may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. And finally, may I be a protector to those without protection, a leader for those who journey, and a boat, a bridge, a passage for those desiring the further shore. May the pain of every living creature be completely cleared away. May I be the doctor and the medicine, and may I be the nurse for all sick beings in the world until everyone is healed. Just like space and the great elements such as earth, may I always support the life of all the boundless creatures. And until they pass away from pain, may I also be the source of life for all the realms of varied beings that reach into the ends of space. Okay. Thank you all so much for your practice. So we'll wrap up here for this session. So thank you all so much for your practice again, and we'll see you next Monday. Please join us for the winter hours or for our practice. A Medicine Buddha next Monday as well. Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone.